Yep. So guys, we have discussed a little bit about byte, how byte works, what is the range for this, and like how the memory will be occupied by byte. These kind of things we already have discussed. So going forward, like I will like to ask you something that maybe we can call it as like variables. Okay. So just like we have defined below, byte b is equal to 10. So can we write like this, or yeah, can we write like this, Aswini? Byte a.
Uh, you are defining a variable. I think you can write like this, and after that you can assign the value.
Exactly. So here, what we are doing, we are just defining a variable. So what is a over here?
A variable.
Exactly. We can say it variable or reference variable. And what is byte? Byte is an data type for a, right? And further, we can assign the value to it. Just like for an example, a might be anything like 100. Okay. Uh, so remember that if your variable, what is the your this particular value will depend upon the variable type. Okay, if your variable is of byte type, then you cannot assign value like this 100 upon 11. You got it?
Yes.
That's everything depends upon the type of your byte. Okay, so I'll also talk about the name of variable, like what kind of variable name you can have. Like it can help be as you can see alphabetic. Okay, and you can have some like digits as well, alphabetic and underscore values only, some underscore as well, maybe like this. Okay, you can have underscore as well. Okay, but like you cannot define the digits just like this. Okay, that will give you the variable name cannot be a digit, either it should be alphabetic or any digit. Okay, uh, it's all about name. No, numeric. Okay, that's cool. That we have discussed. So and also like it can be a multi-line text like this, but there is no space allowed. Okay, if you will give like this, then that will not going to accept. So the reference. So guys, remember that we are talking about variables. What is variable that we have used yesterday, like type B, D, and all. Yeah. So I'll also write in a separate line, like it should be no space. Okay. And like the significance of this, like what is the purpose of this is that, as I explained you yesterday, I need like let me explain it again so that you can have it in your mind. Mhm. As we discussed that C sharp have its own memory. We can say it's an C sharp memory. Okay, C sharp memory. So whatever the data type we are declaring inside our program, let's say we have declared integer, byte, float. Okay, maybe like this is int. So everyone is going to take some memory. So how much memory for byte I have explained and also provide you the notes. Uh, for byte, maybe like it's bool also. Every data type takes some memory. Maybe some takes 2 bits, some take 4 bytes. So on there might be like multiple ints. Okay, there might be multiple ints, multiple bytes, multiple bools. We can like have this as well. There will be multiple integer. There might be n number of data types. So how you gonna identify these memories? You will identify these memories with the reference of variable. Okay, so there would be a unique variable for every data type. For an example, for this int maybe a, that can the same name cannot be assigned, okay, to the different data type, or we can call it c or like x, whatever you want, like something else. So by these reference variable, we will identify our this will give the reference of our data type in the memory. Okay, so that is the purpose of these data types. We can identify like which integer space is for this, what kind of value we have stored. So Aswini, I hope you get that concept, why we are using variables. Any question on this?
No, yes, I have understood.
Okay, that's great. So I can say that it's a way to represent memory location to easily find out. And further, like as we discussed, we can assign the different value to each. Like we can assign a to 200, then the 100 will be left. This will be like removed from the memory. The 100 will be deleted from the memory if we have assigned a new value, and the new value 200 would be assigned to a. Is that okay? So yeah, that's like before moving ahead, I would like to discuss this with you. So that is okay. So let's come back again on the data types. So yesterday, if you remember, I tried to explain you that data types from the primitive or non-primitive kind of a structure. So I also I'm also creating a PPT for you guys, in which I have explained from the C sharp data types from the different perspective. For an example, value data type or pointer data type or reference data type. Okay, I'll also provide you this PPT. So this is in different category. Interviewer may ask you the question as well: what is primitive and non-primitive data type, and also like what kind of data type C sharp have. So we can categorize these data types into this way as well: value type, pointer data type, and reference data types. Okay. Further, like value data type is categorized into two: predefined, that is already provided by C sharp, like integer bool, and there is a fixed memory for this that C sharp programming language provides. Okay, and user defined data type, we can create our own data types. And similarly, as we discussed yesterday, object, and these would be like object oriented. Reference data type would be object oriented. Yeah. So value type that we are discussing: short, integer, character, float, and reference type would be string, class, object, interface. I hope this will help you to remember all these things. These PPTs will help you. So whenever I'll get time, I'll try to create these kind of PPTs for you, so that you can remember the things. And definitely our more focus would be on implementation rather than the theoretical and all. Yep. So yesterday we have discussed about that byte. So we can say that I would also like to mention one concept specifically related to the C sharp. So every data type can be in C sharp. Every data type can be derived into I would say like two format. One is uh, one would be like assigned, and second is unassigned data type. Okay, just like for an example, byte can be assigned or byte can be unassigned. Similarly, integer, assigned integer or unassigned integer. I'll explain you what is this. And similarly, assigned character or unassigned character. So let's see. So the byte that we have discussed yesterday, this is if there is no keyword with byte, then this is assigned. And if I write like this as byte, so this would be, if there is an s prefix with byte, then what will you say this? Then this can be called as, okay. So what is the difference between assigned and unassigned? Or assigned, I will also like the simple signification name of this is like signed or unsigned. Signed and unsigned is the correct name. And if s is there, that means s represents the signed. Okay, s means signed, and if there is no s over here, then it's unsigned. So like I have two things. First, let's discuss about the sign. As I have written over here, let me pick it up. X. This is signed. So in case of sign, we cannot assign. In case of this is as you can say, in case of sign, we cannot assign that negative value for s byte. We can have its range. First discuss about the range, then you will get idea. -1, I'll say range is -128 to 127. You can like remember the range for initial 2 3 data types, then it's not required because it will be used. Okay, and if I simply talk about byte, let me write over here byte y, then the range of this would be 0 to 255. I have remembered this, that's why. So I wrote this concept so that you can get little bit of idea about this. This is unsigned. Is that okay? So as we discussed, we are discussing byte, and byte can be categorized into two parts: signed and unsigned. Signed with s prefix of the data type, and unsigned without s. The only difference between these is like that the range of data that we can store. That's it. Other than that, like everything is fine. The memory that I already have explained to you that this is going to take 8 bit of memory. Both is going to take 8 bit of memory. The size of this, I'll also provide you the complete details in that PPT. So it's of 8 bit, or we can say 1 byte. Yeah. So let's see this with an example. If I'll assign x, uh, x is equal to -100. Yes. So this is accepting. Okay. Let's try to assign y is equal to -200 for an example. So is it showing error? Why so? Aswini, like what we
Negative
can, yeah,
negative value is
yeah, because 200 is a negative value. We cannot assign that. You got it correct. That the y is only an assigned operator. Similarly, like it's not a big concept. Just remember the points. Most of the time now we will use in our coding practices, when we will use, most of the time we will use like that depends upon the requirement. But most of the time, like we can use s byte. So because we can use negative as well as positive, although if we are required more length in this as well, like if I assign like 300 or we can say 200, okay, then this will also give an error. Why it's giving an error? Because this is exceeding the limit. The limit of s byte is -120 to 127. But if we are going to assign this value to y, then there is no as such error because we can like store value till 225. Okay. So this was the basic thing that I was to confess with you. So I hope you have get it, get this. Uh, I'll also write the definition over here. Like, can store negative value, can't store negative value. Okay. So let's make it 150 or minus 20. Yeah, that would be fine. So that is all about this byte. So whenever you like install, you are done with that installation and all, you can try doing all these things. So today we'll start with the next thing. So till now we have seen that what is variable, what is data type, and also what is specifically what is byte data type. Okay. Now the next data type that we are going to discuss is let's say start from short. Okay, the second one is short. So similarly that we have categorized just like we categorize byte into two, signed or unsigned. Similarly we'll categorize short also in signed or unsigned. We can say just like the syntax to represent short is very similar, like just like short over here. Okay, short s. And so Aswini, this is signed or unsigned?
This is unsigned.
Yeah. And if I add u s h o r t, this is signed. And why this is like yellow kind of warning showing over here?
Because value is not assigned to that.
No, if I assign the value just like 10, even though it's showing, even though.
We
So
can see the warning.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the warning is s is assigned, but yesterday I told you about this. The value s is assigned, but its value is never used. We have not used it. We just have defined
Okay.
this inside the
Okay.
memory. If we'll
Okay.
print
Okay.
this or inside, we'll use this inside our program somewhere else. Then it will be like though there would be no as such warning. So we are just assigning this value, not using this. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, these are very minor things, but like we should be aware of this. So the only difference between signed and unsigned is that, like as I can say short, the size would always be the size of short would always be fixed, like it's of 2 bytes. 2 bytes means 8 into 2, 16 bit, right?
Yes.
1 byte have 8 bits, so 2 bytes means 16 bit. So the range of unassigned would be around, as far as I remember, minus 32,768. There might be here and there because they are like number 767. Yeah. And if I talk about, I would say range. And if I talk about the range of unsigned, then it would be around 0 to 65,000, like that. Okay. So it's all about the range. The memory would be same. As we discussed, uh, if we have assigned a short over here, then the memory allocation would be same, but the range would depend upon what kind of data type it's assigned or not assigned. That as simple as. So for an example, if I assign s is equal to I would say 3,000, 30,000, or like that. And unassigned is equal to mm, I can use like minus, this value is minus as well, but we cannot use like -2 or something else with that because it's unassigned. So it will always take the positive values, just like 1,000. So further, if you want to use these values, then just simple sw double tap. Sorry, it's all about uh, console w print right line and print s over here. So this will going to give the value of s. And yep, and if we want to print the value of unassigned, then use this as well. Yeah, so let's run this to see the output. Yeah, you can see that we have these values were for the different data type, and these are for the sort -30,000 to 1,000. Okay, so we are just printing this value. Can we write like this? uh, s plus us. So let's try this as well. We are just trying to add these values, 1,000 plus -30,000. So let's see the output, what it would be. So that the compiler used to take little bit of time to reflect the outputs, and soon we're going to get the outputs just like, no, let's close it first, run it again. Yep, we haven't closed that console window. Yeah, you can see that output of those values is 29,000. So it's absolutely correct because you can see we have -30,000 and plus 1,000. So the resultant would be 29,000. So program is working fine. Yeah. So that was all about this sort keyword. And the third, we are going to discuss about the integer. Okay. Similarly, as I told you that the size of integer would be around 4 bytes. You just remember that size because size is like that thing that we can remember, or is it equal to 32 bits. Now we can categorize this into the first look at un, unsigned and signed int, we can say. Yeah, so this is our third data type. In unsigned int, we will use similarly like u int is equal to. So you can see that there are lots of options. You int, if you type int, then int, then there are 16, 32, 64. So I'll explain these later. Okay, like what is u int 16, what is 32, and what is 62 whenever it would be required. So unsigned, define u, and signed, simply write integer, and it's I, or like let's I. Maybe we have used I somewhere else already. Yeah, it's not being used. Yeah. So yeah, I already have told about you the size of integer. So if we talk about the range, So unsigned range would be around, mm, let me check that I have written it. Yeah, it's like use from 0 to like 4 to 9 4. We can say 4 to 9 4 9 6 7. So I have taken this data from that official Microsoft website. We need not to like require to remember all this, just for that understanding purpose, like what kind of the things this can store. And if I talk about the range of sign, so the range of like signed integer would be, or we can say around and around, it would be 2's power per minus 31. Yeah, it's a, like if you 2 power minus 31, that kind of range this can like store, we can say. So yeah, these information, as I initially told you that I have provided, try to provided these information inside this PPT. Let's talk about that integer. So 2 to 4 byte, and these are the length that this can store. So in like after this session, you may further like uh, refer those kind of things. Okay. So let's assign some value to u. Okay, just like you want to say integer equal to mm, 25,000. Okay, can you do like that? Yes, obviously you can do that because we have. So can you store value like this minus 25,000 to u? No, you cannot, because represent 32 with signed integer. You can say in warning as well. It's an like this value is for sign. If you will assign minus 25,000 to I instead of u, I, then the error would be gone away. Got the concept, I guess, Aswini? Any doubt till here?
No, no doubt.
Okay, so how we'll print this value? If you want to print like just like let's assign, we have assigned I is equal to minus 25,000, and u means unassigned is equal to 5,000. So if I want to subtract from, if I want to subtract 25,000 like from 5,000 from 25,000, so I'll do that and print the output.
Console dot write line.
Yep. And what is the shortcut of console dot write line?
Something double tap.
Yeah, CW and double tap. These are shortcut will save you lots of time. Don't think like these are very silly concepts, but yeah, if you use that on regular basis, console write line double tap, this will automatically print. Yeah. Now what I need to do that?
I minus u.
Yeah, I minus u. Simply I minus u. Tomorrow I'll tell you the concatenation, then we'll print some fancy output. So yeah, so let's run this from here only, and let's see if we'll get desired output or not. I, I hope we close this. Yeah. So
20,000.
yeah, 20,000. You are right. So that's great. So like we can store numeric values inside, we can say short, and also we can store numeric values inside integer. Then what is the difference between short and integer?
The values that can be stored. The
Exactly.
range.
Yeah, exactly, the size and the range. So like the size is only 2 byte, but integer is of 4 byte. Okay. and the range is also different. So for an example, if I want to store the value like this, if I want to store I is equal to 10, can I do that? I is equal to 10. Obviously I can do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, but like you can see that it's a very short value. 10 is a very smaller value comparison to other. But on the same value I can assign inside the sort as well, right? But like it's you can assign it, but it's not a good practice. If you have large number of data, then you should go with that integer. If you have small like 10, 20, 50, then use the sort, because the sort is going to occupy less memory. Okay. If here if you have inside defined the sort will going to the sort will going to get less memory. Okay. But like if you have defined integer, then it will take more memory. If you have huge data like more numbers, then assigned int only, otherwise use the sort keyword. I hope you get this concept. And going forward, like let's discuss about the for concept, or its long. Okay. It's, we can say, it's a big brother of integer. Okay. So if we can say sort is a grandson, and we'll say like its sort have also store integer value, but the length is a little less. Integer stores integer kind of values, but little bit the size is bit more. And the long is, we can say, the grandfather of sort and the father of an integer, that will the size would be a little bit more. So the size of this particular data type is around 8 byte. 8 byte means how much bits? 64. Okay. So similarly, uh, we have signed and unassigned concepts over here as well. Yeah. First we'll like unsigned. So long L is unsigned. Okay. And we'll understand signed. It's a little bit confusing, signed and signed.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's okay. Like it's very easy. It's one page concept. So just keep in mind, like, yeah, we need to go like this. Okay. I'll summarize this as well. Yeah. So the range of this is around, yeah, we need not to remember, range would be different. Okay. But the only thing we need to remember is that in this particular like unsigned, as I already have told you, that you need to remember just one thing about the signed and unsigned. In unsigned we cannot store negative values. Okay. And in signed we can store negative values. That is the only thing that you need to remember. Other than that, like most of the things are same. Yeah. Unsigned cannot store negative values, and in store we can be stored negative values. Okay. So just like range would be something like this. So can you tell me the practical use of long type of data, where we need to use this much of data, huge amount of data? uh, we can say just like if we need to, in some program we need to get that population, world population. Okay. Or we can say corona cases. This is like a little bit of huge data. So for these kind of entries we need uh, long data type. You got it? Also like one more thing I would like to discuss over here is that just like long j is equal to, I would say, 9888. So yeah, you can assign, you can define this like this as well. The both are same, like above one L is equal to this, or we can say the same L. Let's write over here. L is equal to like this as well. You can, so that like compiler can easily identify what kind of the data is. Is simply will understand is long kind of data, so there would be no such error. Okay, so let's try to print this and see what would be the output. Both. Yep. So yeah, let's print. So what do you think? Like this L would be printed in the console. Let's
988.
let's look at the output. So that is for the demonstration purpose to define a value as long that should not be get printed inside the console. You can see that the value is 9888. Yep. Okay. So going forward, we are going to discuss. We have discussed four data types so far. Let's quickly move to that float. Okay. So kind of decimal, can we store decimal value inside the float? Okay. So let's understand an example. Uh, float, yep, f. So float f, I would say let's store 12.22. Okay. One is 12.22. So there is an error. Double precious floating point number represents a double precious. So we need to make it cast as well. Just a second. Float. I need to check that why it's showing error. Variable name cannot be repeated exactly. So yeah, we need to, I think we need to put the F. The error should be one. Yeah. So just like we did it long, so to define the floating data types, data values, we need to use F as a prefix with that values. Okay. So these things we need to keep in mind. And if I talk about that size, then this can store 4 bytes of data. Okay. And if the range goes around, the range goes around after point, after point, around up to 7 digit. Okay. So that's all about this. And like, yeah, we can do like this. Uh, there is nothing much about the float. You just need to remember its size and the range up to 7 digit. And rest of the thing you can convince like low unsigned, that is okay. So let's print this value. Remember that this app is should not get printed. This particular app should not get printed with the values. Okay. Yeah. Let's run this. It's taking the time. I guess we need to. Some time the debugger used to take. Yeah, it's 12.22, right? There is no app over here. So one more thing you can learn over here is that can we assign the value f like this? F is equal to 100. Is it correct or not? It's absolutely correct. But like the output would be little bit different. 100 is an integer type of value, but we can store integer also inside the f, and you can check that the output would little bit different. Let us see what would be the output. Yeah, it's I don't know why it's not saying. Then output should be displayed like 100.00. Okay, I don't know why it's not showing this time, because internally it's converting the integer also into is in every value. This float should be considered, and the compiler definition will read. Then internally it should convert that into a float. It will understand that this is a float kind of value. But like if you want to assign like this integer x xz is equal to I will say 22.22. Can you do like this? No, this should be like we cannot do that. There should be an error. Yeah, what is the error? Represents a double precautions floating pointing number. It's not an integer, it's an float number. Yep. So yeah, that thing we can be learn from these things. So yeah, so we have understood that float, and let's move to the double. We have learned five so far. Yeah, so sixth one should be double double data type. Okay, so let's talk about the size. Size of data type would be 64-bit. Okay, and the range would be more than that. The range of this would be, let's copy this syntax from here. Up to around 14 to 15 digits. In float, we can give the range up to after point, there would be up to 7 digits. But in case of double, the range would be around like more than that, like double to that. After point, there would be 14 to 15 digits. Let's assign a
It
double
is
value.
64 byte or 64 bit? I think 64 byte should be there, no?
No, no, it should be 64-bit, I guess, because not byte. Byte 64 byte would be very huge amount of data.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah. I would say 8 byte. Let's check it out. Maybe we can find it in the PPT. We are talking about loan. 8 bytes. Yeah, it's 8 byte. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, 8 byte
Okay.
means 64 bits. So the concept of this memory allocation is that every time whenever we will work in Selenium, we would have our own test data, right? We have some numbers, everything, just like we have username, that is a string kind of value. We have phone number of customer, might be customer age. So if the customer is age, then in which value we will can store them, we can use the sort keyword over there. Okay. If the customer using phone number, then we can use integer over there. And if there are some other data, for an example, like how many like days, what is the age of a candidate in days. So in days, like there might be some huge data, might be 25,000 or 1 lakh. So in that scenarios, we may use that next that we have discussed, long data type. So that depends upon the data, that what kind of data we need to store. We will use that kind of data type. Okay. Yeah. So we have discussed float. We are discussing double now. So in double, we can directly store the values, just like double D is equal to like 25.88. So similarly, we will store the decimal digit in this as well. And yeah, this is also showing a vocab from D is already defined in this section. Yeah, D double. I think, yeah, the error is gone. Yep. So also like double, we can state D double. du is equal to let's say 30 point something like this. Yeah. So this can be stored inside this because it can take a huge long values. In the banking application, this may be required. Some they are calculating some interest, so they may be required something like that because they in like general application we would consider 2 to 3 steps, but in banking we cannot do that. The amount should be exact, so they may use that. Also, can we store like this double du3 is equal to 1.1? Can we do like this? Obviously we can do, but like it's not a good practice because if this is a smaller value just like 25.88 or 1 point, easily we can define this inside the float. Why to use float? Is going to take like 4 bytes in the memory, and if we have defined if we have declared double type data type, then this is going to store 8 bytes inside the memory. Then why we are occupying the extra space? So similarly, if you have short values, then simply define inside the float. Yep. Let's print it out. CW double tab. Uh, let's say du, or we can say let's print it out. Tomorrow I'll say concatenation. That time we'll print this in a different way. And let's say du. Here we have du2 and du3. Let's run this and see the output. Yep, you can see 25.88, 30 point this, and 1.1. Everything is like got printed. Let's close this, and you can say not a good practice. Yeah. Moving forward, we have discussed 6 data types so far. So let's discuss seventh as like let's discuss character. So in character, how to define the character? It's simple, like char keyword char c. Okay. So what would be the value? What kind of value we can store inside the character? Sim Inside character is like the value in single quotes. Just like for an example, a, the character is going to store the value inside the single quote. If you will remove this single quote, then there would be an error. This will not identify it, like what kind of value. This might be a string or something like that. Cannot implicitly convert byte to character. So this a is byte kind of things. So that is not converting it implicitly. It's also showing the solution. Like you can need do that. I'll you can write it like this as well, but I'll teach you in that other sessions, that is what is typecasting, upcasting, and downcasting, and all those things. So let's write it inside the single quotes, and the error would be gone away in this way. So yeah, let's define one more thing. Char one, can we write a one inside of a? Yes, we can do that, because this is not going to treat one is like an integer now. We have converted this into a character, a single character. Okay, can we do like this? Some special character, just as example, for an example, dollar. Yes, we can do that. So that range would be different. In A, we can store from A to Z or Z, or like capital A to capital Z. These kind of values we can store. In this, we can store from 0 to 9. 0 to 9. Okay. And yeah, in special character you may store these kind of values as well. It we can say that it's a numeric character and it's special character. Okay. And if I talk about the size of character, then it's around 2 bytes. 2 bytes, or we can say 16 bits. So you may have a question in your mind like, what is the need of 2 bytes? It's a single character. It may store less than in 1 byte. Yeah, so why they have defined it 2 bytes for a single character? Because we cannot assign like multiple characters over here, just like double A. If you will assign this kind of thing, then there would be an error. You can see that. Okay, there would be an error. So what is the need of 2 byte memory? Then there are some other kind of data as well. Just like there are some languages or some kind of character, just like Chinese character. Okay. Uh, and we can say unicodes, there are some unicodes, or we can say there are some other kind of languages as well, where uh, the character represents in that the character that they are representing that required more memory. That's why they have assigned this to 16-bit. That is going to take more memory. So yeah, that is as simple as we can simply print it and look like what would be the output as CW. Let's print only this one and look at the output. We are going to, we should be have dollar printed inside the console. There are some errors. Yep. Yeah, you can see that dollar is printed over here. Yeah. So we have discussed like 7 so far. Let's discuss the 8th one. We are going to discuss. Let's discuss the bool. Okay. So what kind of value we can store in boolean? True and false. There are two
Yeah.
kinds of value, nothing else. But either it would be true or like 0 or 1 kind of thing we can say. So let's say bool. So bool B is already used. So let bo. So you can say that just you think that there is not in C sharp. It's just write like BWL bool, not complete boolean. So yes, try to remember this, and let's assign a value to this true, or we can store bool2 is equal to false. Yep. So we have defined two kind of value here. If you want to print these, then simply write like this. Yep. So we have, so if I talk about the size for this, then it's around 1 bit, not exactly, it's around 1 bit only. 1 bit, not byte. Try to remember this, only 1 bit memory, 0.9 or something else, according to the official site of C sharp. Yep. Let's run this. So it's printing true and false. Okay, so what is the need of true and false? Then we'll going to understand the loops. That time we'll understand like what is the use of true, what is the use of false, and Selenium as well. It's very useful. Boolean, all these things, like whatever the things that we have discussing today. Let's me remind first. We have discussed the variables. What are the variable? How to assign the name of a variable. Then we discussed about the byte, signed and unsigned byte, first data type. Second, we have discussed the sort. Third, we have discussed integer, signed and unsigned both as well. And like long, the fourth one was long, and the fifth was float, sixth was double, and the seventh was character, char, and the last one that we have discussed is boolean. So it's very important. These are the basic concept of any programming language. If you'll be comfortable with the C sharp, then if tomorrow if your like team or manager says, hey, you have to do the automation or coding in Python or Java, then you will be easily understand or grab because the concepts are same. There might be some syntax different here and there, nothing else. The concept are uh, same in every each and every scripting language. So my focus is to make you understand the concepts. Okay, that more you will practice these, then syntax will automatically like fade in your mind. But our focus is to confirm that what is the logic behind this, how the memory is allocating, how these are working. So these are the basics. So I think that is enough for this class. If you want, then we can like proceed this more. But I think like I as far as I know, you haven't started the implementation yet. So I would suggest you like today itself to install that and start practicing. And if you face any issue, then you can ping me on WhatsApp. I'll try to help you out according to the time availability. And my main focus in is that you should be confident enough. Yeah, like this is the thing. And don't delay, like I'll watch the recording and do it. Try to do it like, yeah, it's okay to watch the recording. Maybe it's one time or two time. Simultaneously try to implement all these things. Then only you will feel confidence. Otherwise you will forget within 2 3 days. You'll forget all these concepts. Okay, Swini. So I think we are good for the
Okay.
day. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes, one question is regarding a boolean. Default value is not assigned. For example, I have not assigned
uh,
anything
in
to
in in
boolean
this
data
in
type, and
yeah, yeah. In this particular class, I'm not talking about the default value. Okay, I have a separate session for this. We
okay,
everything, like we have default value for character, we have default value for double. I'll explain you that at that time.
oh,
Okay, we have default value for every data type, not only for boolean.
okay, okay.
Yep. Okay, I'll also
Mm,
provide you that default value list inside our PPTs as well, so that you may take the reference of that. If you'll simply, if you Google it, you'll easily get that default C sharp data types default values. So this is a separate session. I at maximum time I used to refer that official sites, because that is the authentic data. You can see that this is a null and bool is false default value. That was your question. Character. So I'll take session on this. What is the default value and from where it's coming? Okay.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other
Please
questions?
share the recording. I will share you the email ID in the
Yep.
WhatsApp group.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so